How to invest like Warren Buffett. I'm going to share with you the secrets right here. You ready? So I was watching my man over at Minority Mindset, and he was talking about how Warren Buffett is buying natural gas. And I just did a cursory look at some of the comments, and people were commenting on there. One guy said, I wish I had 1% of the wealth of Warren Buffett. And someone commented, just study his investing strategies, and you can be like Warren Buffett. No, come on, buddy. No. All right. So anyway, I want to show you how to do this because I think this is bad advice, frankly. And I think people who try this have failed and failed time again. And I'm going to tell you why. All right, so this is a basic bell curve. All right, bell curve. And a bell curve is simply you're taking a sample size, a population of N, if you will. It matters not as long as it's statistically significant. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what statistic significance. I think you have to have at least 150, something like that, for a population size, a sample size, and N for it to be statistically significant. All right, so what this means is we have an average. So we're just going to assume our average here is 5, all right? And we have a standard deviation of 10. All right, so we have an average of 5, a standard deviation of 10, we'll just say, for simplicity. All right, so what that means is average is 5. That means you take every single person in the population, you add up their number, whatever it is, a number. It doesn't have to be people, it can be anything. And you divide by the sample size, that gives you your average, all right? And then we come up with a standard deviation in terms of where everyone lay in that sample size. And if we have a standard deviation of 10, and again, this is statistically significant, that simply means if we have 66% of the time, 2/3 of the time, we'll know we'll have at least, we have average of 10, average of 5 with a standard deviation 10, plus 10, and minus 10. All right, so 2/3 of the time we'll have 15 on the positive and -5 on the negative, 2/3 of the time. One standard deviation, 2/3 of the time. Two standard deviations is 95% of the time. We're going to have plus 10, minus 10, minus 10, and we're going to have -15, and that's 25. So 2/3 of the time, we're going to have a negative of 15 and a positive 25 within 95% of the time within this sample base. And again, statistically significant. 99.7% of the time, we're going to have between, we just do minus 10, minus 10, minus 10 with an average of 5, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. We're going to have 35 on the plus and minus 25 on the negative. All right. So we know for a fact that between 99.7% of the time, we're going to be negative 25 and positive 35. All right. That's what we're going to be. Now we have these outliers out here. All right. We don't know exactly what the outliers are going to be, but there's always going to be, most likely, an outlier. All right. So how do you become that outlier? Yeah. Well, investing is simply luck. It's luck. There's always going to be someone on the outlier. Always going to be. And the reason for that is just because random. We don't know if it's Warren Buffett. We don't know if it's Peter Lynch. We don't know who it's going to be. That's the issue. So you can mimic Warren Buffett till you're blue in the face, but the likelihood of you being this outlier is completely random. You cannot predict that. You cannot assume that. You hope it's you, but you could also be this outlier here. And the interesting thing about the markets is by the time you're this outlier, you're broke. All right, so we don't know who these outliers are because they're all broke. They're all digging ditches. But we do know who these outliers are. Peter Lynch, Warren Buffett, George Soros. There's always going to be someone who's on the outlier. And you can't mimic him because the reason he's on the outlier is because he got lucky. Now, so think about it. Think about the absurdity of mimicking Warren Buffett's strategies on investing. Warren Buffett built his knowledge based on Ben Graham, all right? The value investor from the 1930s, all right? So we have the value investor from Ben Graham. Warren Buffett read it. He followed that strategy. Do you think Warren Buffett is the only guy who's followed Ben Graham? No, all kinds of people follow Ben Graham. All kinds of people do. Still people do to this day. Price to book, trying to buy more, you try to buy stocks that have more cash than the price is trading at. Everyone knows this. No one does not know Ben Graham's philosophy. Everyone does. It's in the freaking vernacular. Everyone knows this stuff. So to try to mimic Warren Buffett, who's mimicking Ben Graham, you are joining a plethora, an army of other strategists who are doing the same thing. Yet we only know about Warren Buffett. because he just happened to get lucky. There's no other way around that. And if you read A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton Malkiel, who talks about the randomness of Wall Street, how monkeys throwing darts at a stock chart are just as likely, if not more likely, to beat the markets than all the best minds in the world who studied Buffett, who studied Ben Graham, who studied Keynes. It doesn't matter. It's completely random. It's completely luck. Now, with that said, given what I just said about this, where I say, well, I know I can't be Warren Buffett unless I'm lucky. And if you're trying to be lucky, you might as well just gamble. Literally, that's what lucky is, a speculation. All right, so I know I can't be that. Now, so what for me, why would I then not just be in the index and be done with it? Because I still believe, to my chagrin, that buying stocks that are cheap relative to earnings leads to future growth. But I tell you, man, that's historically been the case, but I don't know that to be true. And I base that on Ben Graham. Buffett bases that on Ben Graham. Why is Buffett buying natural gas? Why did he buy Goldman Sachs? Well, once you establish your promise as an investor of significant knowledge up here, well, people just flock to your investments, which inherently will perpetuate the myth that Warren Buffett has some investment stratagem that you and I don't. Now, the interesting thing about Buffett, by the way, he actually is a business owner. That's why I think it's overlooked a lot. He doesn't just own stocks, he actually owns companies. He literally owns them. Where you are owning stocks, all right, you're not actually owning, you're owning the companies in theory, but you're, 100 shares of freaking Bank of America, that you don't have any say in the management of Bank of America. I'm sorry, you're going to be dwarfed by everybody else. So even though you own it, you're not actually running the company. Warren Buffett actually owns companies to run, if that makes sense. And so the way you mimic Warren Buffett, in my opinion now, and Buffett would say the same thing, is you just buy the index and be done with it. I still believe, into my heart's heart, that there is benefits to buying stocks that are traded lower to their earnings. In the last 10 years, it's been incorrect, for sure. I don't know what will happen in the future. It just doesn't make sense to me that value stocks will underperform consistently stocks that aren't making any money. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But I'm willing to bet my investments on that. And that's basically, I'm violating my own knowledge that to be random is just luck. That's all there is to it. So we know there's always going to be an outlier. We know that for a fact. Warren Buffett is the outlier, absolutely. George Soros, like I said, Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch was the outlier until he got out of the game, kind of like he did like a Michael Jordan. He got out before he could be defeated, which is a pretty good idea. I'm drawing a blank. Seems like I'm missing somebody else. But be it as it may, you're not going to be Warren Buffett. You're not. Warren Buffett is already established. Once he gets established, and also Warren Buffett is a media maven too. He knows how to generate positive press, which leads to further perpetuating the myth of some stellar investment head that can outperform everybody else. I mean, just everyone follows him now. All right, so he's his own conglomerate in terms of Warren Buffett methodology. A Munger, that's what I was thinking about, with who runs with Warren Buffett. When these guys speak, the markets listen. They're like E.F. Hutton from the old days. But that's not going to be you. It's just not. The vast majority of investment gurus try to follow this model, and they cannot do it because they don't have the chops and knowledge of Warren Buffett, the goodwill, if you will. They just don't. And so even though they're following Ben Graham, following Keynes, following Warren Buffett, they're not here. They just aren't going to be, and they never will be, because statistics, probability says the vast majority are going to fall in here. 66% of the time, you're going to fall within one standard deviation of the average. That's all there is to it. There will be a few people who fall on 2 standard deviations outside the average, the losers and the winners. You never hear from the losers, though, so you only hear from the winners. And then lastly, you'll have a few people that fall 3 standard deviations on the average, but again, you never hear from the losers, just the winners. And then you have 1 or 2 outliers. And that's just random. All right. Hope this makes sense. Definitely read Burton Malkiel's book. All right, we'll see you.